One of our favorite sponsors is back with us, Sunset Lake CBD.
Yeah.
If you're looking for CBD that actually does what CBD is supposed to do, look no further than our friends over at Sunset Lake.
Let me break it down.
Break it down, Mel.
They're sustainably farmed, meaning they avoid pesticides and use sustainable farming practices to preserve the land for future generations. 1. 2, farm to table. They ship the CBD products straight from their door in Vermont directly to your door wherever you're at.
Now that's cool.
And third party tested. They test everything with a third party to ensure quality, dosage, and safety.
You got to go over and check out sunsetlakecbd.com. They have so many products. Break it down for them, Apple.
Well, they've got some new stuff going on. Like they always had pre-rolls, but now they got really cool packaging for it. And you can get CBD pre-roll flights of all their flavors. You can get the heavy hitter flight that also throws in some of their Keef blunts. They have a new CBD recovery body lotion.
I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other?
The other one with arnica.
The extra strength muscle rub, 3,000 milligram with 5% lidocaine.
So look,
Oh, yeah,
if you're
lidocaine.
sore, this is the stuff you want to rub on your body to make those aches and pains go away. They even have CBD infused coffee, so you can have coffee without the little jitter that you get from caffeine, and you have it in the morning and you start your day off right. Your body feels lubricated. You're going to sleep good.
Yeah, and also they have, if you kind of forget to reorder, they've got subscriptions.
And they're giving the No Simple Road family 20% off.
20% off.
Put
with
in the promo code NSR20 when you're checking out at sunsetlakecbd.com. You're going to get 20% off your entire order.
NSR20.
And don't forget those cute little gummy bears.
That's right. sunsetlakecbd.com. One of our favorite sponsors is back. It's always a good thing when an advertiser returns to No Simple Road.
Heck
and
yeah.
Sunset Lake is back, you guys.
Welcome back, Sunset Lake CBD.
And they are hooking up the No Simple Road family with a little something extra. They're not going to give you 15% off. They're going to give you 20% off.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Go to sunsetlakecbd.com and check out all the products they have. They've got tinctures. They've got salve. They have gummies. They have Keef blunts. They have pre-rolls.
Coffee.
They have premium hand-trimmed CBD flower that will light up your life and blow your mind in a really good
and
way.
relax your body.
Minus the anxiety, minus the frustration. It will take your aches, pains, and sleepless nights away. And if you want to do something a little fun, get yourself some of that premium dark roast. CBD infused coffee, grind it up, put it in a French press, and my God, are you going to be stoked.
You go.
So when you check out, put in the promo code NSR20 and you are going to have a relaxed mind, a relaxed body from a company that used to make
Ben and Jerry's.
ice cream milk.
Yep.
They were a farm. They wanted to do something different, so they started making CBD products back in 2018. They've got you covered, like I said. Keef blunts. They even have Keef to put on top of your flower if you want to get a little fancy. So, you know what, man?
Those
check
gummies
that
are
out.
my
Feeling
fave.
fancy? Get a little Keef.
And then, so after you smoke that blunt that you got from them, you're going to listen to Christmas music
Oh,
out of a...
Santa.
That you got from Electric Fish Lights.
Shit.
Yeah, man. So go over and check out electricfishlights.com or at electricfishlights on Instagram and look at what these guys are doing, man. John B and
so
the
much.
family over at Electric Fish
They are blowing up.
Amy, oh my gosh, spokeswoman over there. They're awesome.
So what they do is they make these lights from a thing called IQ technology. It stands for interlocking quadrilaterals, and it's a system made of 30 interlocking pieces that can be configured into 15 different shapes. So when you take these shapes and you put them together, basically they can build anything that your imagination can imaginate. And so it's pretty awesome, man.
That is awesome.
You design it, they build it, choose your shape, size, and color, and all lamps come fully assembled and are ready to be plugged in when they arrive. All lights are made from upcycled vinyl like milk jug plastic, so you can feel good about buying something plastic for once in your life. And they come with a 12-foot cord, a 12-year energy efficient, safe to leave on LED bulb, and a hardware kit to hang the light. And Any NSR family member that gets the color changing upgrade on their light bulb gets a
free poster that is dope.
Dope ass free
It is
poster.
pretty dope.
And you know what? They too are hooking up the No Simple Road family with a little bit off. They're going to give you 10% off. So put in the promo code NSR when you check out at electricfishlights.com, and they are going to give you 10% off. And you know what, man? You're going to get that poster because you got the color changing upgrade. Take it a step further and get the Bluetooth color changing upgrade.
You will not regret that.
It is my favorite thing. It
It's
is one of my favorite
thing,
things.
too.
I sleep with it almost every night with the light real dim, and it flickers to it to the music, and it's amazing.
So check this out. You've bought some stuff from Sunset Lake, and then you went over to Electric Fish Lights and you picked out a light of your favorite like cartoon character or
set the
sports
mood.
team.
They also have beanies.
They do have beanies
And artwork.
But check this out. So, you've done a lot that day. You've smoked out, you're sitting with your light, and then all of a sudden you realize that your throat is bothering you.
And
What?
I'm going to reach for my Clear
Yeah.
throat spray.
Yeah, you are. Every person that talks for a living, sings for a living, all those people, that's that feeling when you get that tickle in the back of your throat. Go grab some of this Clyers Throat 37. It's a soothing, all-natural spray. Throat 37 was created and tested by singers for singers. It is not just for singers, though. It's for anybody that uses their voice. If you work in retail and you talk all day, this stuff is for you. If you work at the bank and you're a teller and you're blabbering to people, asking you silly-ass questions all day, or a dispensary, this is for you.
Or if you just talk a lot, don't ever shut up.
Like me. There's no added chemicals, no numbing effects, no side effects at all. Just pure relief in 12 hours. And bonus, it tastes really good. The second you get that tickle in the back of your throat, smooth it out with Throat 37. And now,
I gotta say that the one thing it reminds me of.
What?
It reminds me of the after effects of a nice cup of hot tea.
Yep.
Like what it does to your throat and the taste of it. I love it.
Yep. It doesn't like some of the other stuff like Cepacol and that kind of shit, like numbs your throat and tastes like medicine. This stuff tastes like a nice warm hot cup of tea. And then afterwards, your throat just feels like buttery smooth. So, No Simple Road listeners get 10% off too. Throat 37 at Clyer.com/throat37 with the promo code SIMPLE. That's CLYOR.com/throat37 promo code SIMPLE.
Simple.
Act now, operator standing by.
We're so excited to tell you a bit about today's sponsor, Music Masters Collective. They are a nonprofit organization that produces unique music events, providing opportunities for fans and artists to meet and collaborate in an inspired and creative atmosphere.
Music Masters Collective events give you the opportunity to learn from world-class musicians like Otil Burbridge, Steve Earle, Richard Thompson, former members of the band, the Milk Carton Kids, Nikki Glaspie, the Fab Four, and Sean Colvin, and so many more.
At an event like the Milk Carton Kids Sad Song Summer Camp happening this July, you can expect immersive classes, evenings of entertainment, excellent food, and a space for a lucky group of folks to learn, co-write, workshop, and perform with like-minded peers, all with the guidance of Kenneth Pattengale, Joey Ryan, and some of their favorite songwriters. This all-inclusive week in the Catskill Mountains of upstate New York is guaranteed to be magical. Scholarships are available and spots are extremely limited, so visit www.sadsongsummercamp.com/simple to learn more. That's www.sadsongsummercamp.com/simple. Check it out.
Hey everyone, Chris Pandolfi from the infamous String Dusters here to let you know that my podcast, Inside the Musician's Brain, is back on the airwaves for Season 4, which means it's time once again to get deep with influential musicians from all across the musical landscape to really understand and translate the lessons of success, failure, inspiration, and hard work that are behind the music and the artists that we love. My guests this season include Rachel Price from Lake Street Dives, Sam Bush, Chris Wood, Chris Funk from The Decemberists, Lindsay Liu, MC Taylor from His Golden Messenger, and more. Check us out, and thanks for listening.
No simple road. No simple road. No simple road. No simple road.
I love that thing, man.
Me too.
That thing is so dope. Those kids are amazing.
Yes. Yeah, they are.
Yes.
Hey now, No Simple Road family. How you
Hey.
doing? We're having a conversation about the Christmas gifts that we received from the Able family's kids last year. And
They're like little nightlight Christmas
Yes.
boxes.
They-
They're so
painted by them and personalized and put good energy into, and they were so happy to give it to us, and it was such a shock. I never would have guessed that.
it's cool to get a gift from a little kid.
Yes.
Yeah. Simon and Darla are two of
Yes.
the coolest kids I've ever
Shout
met.
out you two.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
We
man.
love you.
So how's everybody doing out there this week? We have something really special for you. We just did this. We had this conversation last weekend, Apple. Is that-
last Saturday.
Time is weird.
Yeah, Saturday morning.
And when the conversation was over, we have a whole bunch of episodes that we have in the can right now that we're waiting to get out to you guys. And we have like a little lineup schedule. And when the interview finished, I was like, we need to get this one out right away.
Yeah.
So this week is the Owsley Stanley Foundation. This is Hawk and Starfinder Stanley. And they are doing something really incredible with the legacy of Bear and what he did as far as sound and recording music goes. This was a huge honor for No Simple Road to talk to these guys and hear a little bit about the history of Bear and his sound journey and his work with the Grateful Dead and the Wall of Sound. And this is as close as you can come to talking to the man himself. This is a conversation with his son.
And this was a man that created a new way of looking at music, and you'll hear in this conversation they break it down. Like
I'm excited to hear this.
how he perceived sound.
Don't ruin it.
Different. It's different from anybody ever. The way he perceived sound and saw sound and created what he did, and
It's so profound that the echoes of what he did is still happening now.
yeah,
The
they talk
tech-
about that like technology
Right.
is just catching up to what
to where his dad's head was at.
Yeah,
Dang.
Like that serious. And a lot of the techniques and things that he spearheaded back in the day are industry standard now. So, and not to mention, man, I would be remiss. Bear is not only famous for sound and recording, he's also the guy that made a lot of acid back in the day and turned a lot of people on. And
like the most sacred sacrament ever.
yeah. And so what the Owsley Stanley Foundation is doing, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because they're going to do that, but they have a bunch of reel-to-reel tapes, and there's a reason why they're picking the ones they pick and blah, 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 and you'll hear that. But they're making sure that this work that Owsley did doesn't disappear off into the sunset, because tapes degrade over time and they do not last forever. And some of these tapes are as much as 50 years old.
That's a long time to have a tape.
Yeah. So if you go to their website, it's owsleystanleyfoundation.org, and there's a bunch of these masterpieces on there, and like Ali Akbar Khan,
New Riders of the Purple Sage,
Commander Cody and his Lost Planet Airmen.
My favorite that I have listened to probably 5 times since doing this interview is the Allman Brothers.
Yep. Jorma Kakunin and Jack Cassidy before they were Hot Tuna, pre Hot Tuna. And then another one that we listened to is Doc and Merle Watson. And they hipped us up during the interview. You guys will hear it, but the recording of that Doc and Merle Watson is so clear that you can actually hear Doc's foot tapping on the stage. It's that like crystal clear.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's so it for any of the No Simple Road family that's out there that's an audiophile.
This
like,
is mind-blowing.
Like Jake.
Yeah.
This one is for you, man. That you are gonna dig this. Like, he breaks down sound and frequency and how it works and why and where you stand in the hall and blah.
We need to send this episode to Seth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So
that's what I got to throw in, because this is the thing I've been most excited about. Like I said, I've been listening to the Allman Brothers one. You can go to Apple Music, different stuff. You can look up Bear's Sonic Journals. Several of these are out, but I'm looking forward to, because I got to order the whole thing. This was recorded. Everybody's heard Fillmore East, 1970, of Allman Brothers. Bear, you'll hear it in here. I'm ruining a little bit, but he approached them. This was recorded 3 weeks after they wrote In Memory of Elizabeth Reed. And Allman Brothers were just starting out, not really well known, and these recordings are freaking fantastic. You put your headphones on, you listen to any of these recordings, it puts you right there at the show. It's unbelievable.
You know, I wonder if it was Cody that I was talking to. I can't remember who I was talking to. I think it was Cody. And we're talking like, you know, when you're at a show and there's that magic happening that happens between the crowd and the band, when you listen to an audience tape of an old Grateful Dead show or an old Fish show or even a new one, and you can hear the crowd noise, it gives you that sense of being there.
Yeah.
In the middle of it.
In the middle of it.
Yeah.
But these Bear's Sonic Journals, to me, take it a step further in a way that, like, the energy that was in the room is now present with you. He somehow, through his interdimensional travel, figured out how to record the magic that was happening.
Yeah.
And so that we can experience it over and over and over again energetically, not just sonically. And that is another level of just
amazing.
Crazy.
Because these were done in like the 60s and 70s. Yeah. You can hear the dimensions of the venue.
Yeah.
Like you can tell how big it is. Like, I mean, these are amazing.
And feel the people in the room.
And they break this down, because one of the things they're doing, like Aaron said, they're preserving these tapes and stuff. And if you go to their site, there's ways, you know, you can donate a little bit, you can donate a lot, you can donate. You go look at the price thing. You can adopt a reel. You can actually pay for them to preserve one of these reels. You get put on the liner notes when it's released. What do they have? They have 1,300 of these.
You get put on the liner notes if it gets released.
You got to listen to this interview. Because there's a lot of things. There's red tape involved with, you know, estates of something. I mean, they got Janis Joplin. They got different things here, and then you got to deal with the red tape of being able to release these. And these guys, this was a learning experience. These guys go in depth with everything.
This is one of those moments. This is, I put this in the category of talking to Big Steve or talking to Dennis McNally. This is the Grateful Dead family here.
Yeah.
This is it. You don't get any more.
Any deeper than the guy that created the wall of sound and his son preserving
this family is directly responsible for not only the sonic journey of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, but also the psychedelic life of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that have turned on hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. So this is like, this was a big deal for us.
I venture we could say millions.
Yeah.
Millions.
I'm sorry that I couldn't be there. I really wanted to be a part of too.
I want to tell you guys something funny too. Cody sat in on this episode, and the night before,
I feel like such a dick.
The night before,
who takes me seriously?
Apple texted him and was like, "Hey man, Mel's not going to be here for the episode tomorrow with Owsley Stanley Foundation. Do you want to sit in?" And Cody was like, "Hell yeah!" And Apple was joking with him and texted back, and he's like, "Okay, you can come, but you can't talk." And whatever.
And I always joke around like that. He thought I was serious.
So he comes and he said like 2 words during the entire episode, and we went outside afterwards, and we were like all shot out of a cannon, and I'm like, wasn't that great? And he's like, yeah, it was cool, but I had so many questions. And I was like, why didn't you say anything? And he's like, well, Apple told me I couldn't talk. I was like, dude, you thought he was serious?
Well, but then he did say, like, you'll see on these guys had a lot to talk about, and it was all very fascinating. And Cody would say, he's like, I had a lot of questions, but I probably, even if I was talking, I would have got to ask like 2. Yeah. Because they have a lot of information to give and that they put out there in this interview.
Right on.
I'm telling you, you out there that you're driving in your car, or you're mowing your lawn, or you're in the kitchen or at work, if you ever talk to Apple and he says anything to you, do not take him seriously. He doesn't mean it.
I'm one of those that'll tell you if I'm serious. I'm one of those that has to be like, I'm serious.
Yeah, I'm not joking right now. Yeah, man, that was one of the funniest things.
It was.
Even
Cody just cracked up about it too.
So yeah, man.
Love you, Cody.
It's been a hell of a week, man. We've been podcasting our asses off. We did 4 interviews last weekend.
Oh my gosh.
We have a lot of really good content coming for you guys. We have an amazing Christmas present for you guys this year. I'm not going to unwrap it right now. Just suffice it to say that the Christmas guest this year is going to blow your fucking mind. I'm so stoked that we're giving that to you guys for Christmas this year. Anyway, how was your week, Mel?
Whoa. Following that, how was my week? I'm just starting my week, because it's my Monday at work. I just have my couple days off. And
how has the last 7 days been since the last time we recorded?
But it's funny with you, like you always say it. You got like 2 Fridays with your schedule.
Well, no, not anymore. That changed, and so for the last 6 weeks, I've been working like 5 days a week.
Oh, you work this Saturday too?
Yeah, huh? I do. Oh. This is my last Saturday that I work. Anyway, but yes, I've been good. I guess I'm just at a loss for words because I'm like trying to figure out what I have done.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Mel has brought the Christmas spirit to the house this week.
And Hanukkah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You guys went and got the tree, but then I come home today and Mel has just decorated everything, making it very festive.
And Mel, happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Happy Hanukkah.
All my members of the tribe out there, I love you guys. Happy Hanukkah. Mel and I had matzo ball soup and latkes for dinner tonight, and sang the dreidel song.
Yeah, you did.
Happy Hanukkah to Chandler and Monica.
No, stop. Nope. Don't do that.
Okay.
Don't ever do that again. Right. Anyway.
But yeah, okay, so I've been bringing the Christmas and Hanukkah cheer and spirit to the house because it needs it. And Ryder's gone. He's not here.
He went to his Christmas.
He's gone.
Yeah,
I know
his
he's
yearly his Christmas time visit to Vegas.
Yeah, and it's just been good because we got Simon something for we got his desk, and that was really cool. That was a really good happy mom moment because he wanted/needed it, and he got more than he expected,
more than he bargained for.
Yeah, and I was able to hook him up, so that was super cool. I did have a sad thing. Jesse's my doggy nephew died. Jesse's my sister's dog. Jackie's Reel's what I used to call him, and she used to call him Jack-o'-lantern, but his name was Jack, and he was a curmudgeon-y old dog. And
how long?
12 years. Oh. No, I thought it was 15, but it's actually 12. And so I dedicate this little episode to Jack too. He deserves it.
He was a cutie.
In Jack's memory.
I loved it when he came over. He was one of those dogs that wants you to pet him, but then he's like,
yeah. He had a phobia of men.
I'm just gonna err on the side of if he ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing.
But
at all.
Even if he liked you, he's like Apple said, he still kind of had like stank no matter what. Yeah. But that was Jesse's little baby, and she just had really hard time. So I love you, sister. But it was great. I went and I brightened up her day. I made her dinner. I brought her flowers, and I blew up a picture of Jack, and she put it in a frame, and she had a candle. And so it was a really beautiful,
Send off.
Exactly. And she was a great dog mommy. So, there was that. But yeah, I've been wanting to bring more cheer and celebration, because I feel like we all need not just our regular energy, but we need to be uplifted. We all need to be uplifted, not just okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to bring in.
You're not trying.
I was gonna say, you're doing it. Yeah. Like we've been talking about, you can't. This year's been crazy, and you can't let it get you down.
It's just the small little things.
Well, you can.
Yeah, you can let it down.
You can totally let
it. But no, you can't. You can't.
Don't. I was just, when I was listening to Mom and Me podcast, they were talking about feng shuiing, the house, for the holidays, like to clear out things and put them away for a little bit, and then put that in the box of the Christmas stuff, and then put your Christmas stuff up. So when Christmas is done, then you can have like your fresh stuff back again, and it like
freshened. Had a little break.
Reinvigorates it.
That's
exactly.
a good idea.
And it's a small thing. You can go through and like clean everything when you bring it out, and just mindful things. And I've been, kind of doing stuff like that, and being a little bit more mindful of how I put things away, and what I put away, and why is it still here. And that's been helping to clear clutter out of my space, my mental space.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is the truth. From the zinc and the vitamin C
and selenium
and these feng shui tips and the actual doing of them, I have more mental space, and I feel more clear than I have in weeks. Weeks.
Medical disclaimer here. Nobody on No Simple Road.
I'm talking about my regimen.
Yeah, none of us are medical physicians, practitioners, and we aren't giving you advice out there. I'm just saying what works for us. But check this out.
I'm saying this works for me. I don't even know if it works for Aaron or not.
Hold on, wait. I'm not a doctor?
No.
Oh, okay.
Doctor of bullshit.
You guys, I've been like really paying attention to what I eat and how I take care of my body, because I've been having issues, my digestion, all that kind of stuff. I was having issues with my kidneys, and
I want a shameless plug.
What?
How's the Happy Belly working for you?
It's been actually working great. I've been paying. I was brought it in my car with me, so that when I eat lunch in my car, because you're supposed to take it before and after your meal, it's fantastic. It tastes great, and I am eating better, so that has been helping my belly. But yeah, it's been helping, and I really like it. So I was going to say something, and then I got sidetracked. I was about to say how clear my mind was, and I got sidetracked. See, guys, do not believe anything I say either.
Wow.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on right now. Come on, Mel. Don't worry about it.
Oh my gosh.
It's so weird. I don't know if you guys out there feel like this, but 2020 has been the year of contrast for me. As awful as moments have been, is also as amazing as some of the stuff that's happened. Like the yin yang of this year is on fleek. It doesn't. I'm amazed, because it's that time of the year where you're introspective. You're thinking about everything that happened, and a lot went down this year. There was a lot of really hard moments.
Yes,
a lot of hard,
and still is.
Yeah,
we're in a hard moment.
I'm not saying that it's over. I'm just looking back over the last 10 months,
reflecting,
but a lot of really good stuff has happened. Like, we were just talking before we started recording, and we would have never had the opportunity to speak to the artists that we've spoken to on the show this
Yeah.
year. In maybe we would have spoken to them,
like
but
we said, not never, but it would have been harder, and they would have been on the road.
and also like not in the manner in which we spoke with
Yeah.
them. It was a lot more personal and
Yeah,
a
the
lot
guards
more
were down.
relaxed, and it is a lot more personal and a lot more relaxed.
Yeah,
And-
we had Dave Schools at home enjoying his peach tree. Come
Yeah,
on,
man.
guys. Billy Strings hanging out, getting ready to go fishing.
and and your Christmas present too. But it's this weird contrast of like the bottom of the pit and then the best sunrise ever.
Yeah.
And there's some really amazing stuff happening for No Simple Road, business wise. And I can't say anything yet, but there's some stuff happening with Osiris and us that's just amazing. And as you guys know, the 3 fish podcasts on Osiris are now going to be one podcast called Undermine. And so those guys are consolidating their shows, helping Friendly Podcast under the scales.
Go take a read of those lyrics for the song Undermine, because I initially was like, I don't know about
Why would they
this.
call their
Why-
show that?
Yeah.
Is what you were asking
and
me
then
yesterday.
so I don't know Fish's catalog like that. So, and I don't know their song names. So when I asked Aaron, I was like, is that like an album or? So anyway, I looked it up, and it is an album, and of course it's a song. And when I looked at the lyrics, I read the lyrics. It's a beautiful tribute to that name.
And it makes sense.
It makes sense.
The lyrics of the song fit taking 3 and making it 1.
Yeah, it was.
And it's really cool what they're
Yeah.
doing. And so be on the lookout for Undermine coming your way on Osiris, and some stuff with No Simple Road is happening, and that I'll tell you about at a later date. And just right now, you can just smile in a knowing way that something really cool is happening. You're on the inside. I just can't do the rest. Anyway, so that
Why not? What's the big secret?
What's the rest?
You can tell me.
I can't tell you.
Why not?
You know what? You're the last
You know what?
motherfucker I would tell.
Babe, it's just me and Apple. Let us in on it.
Okay, so in a few weeks, you know what's going to happen? No, I'm not telling, because they're going to hear it, and Apple has a big mouth. No.
It's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't hear things until you guys do. Oh, geez.
Yeah. Anyway, so that be on the lookout for Undermine, and the other podcasts on Osiris are fucking amazing. If you haven't listened to 36 from the Vault, that one's dope, and I'm sure everybody on here knows about Oteil's podcast and Krasno's podcast, and there is also another one I want to tell you guys about.
Dead and Gone?
Yeah, Dead and Gone. It's not on Osiris, but
Dead.
it's
and
really
gone.
cool, man. I've heard some people saying some negative things about Dead and Gone, and I'm here to say that show is kick ass, and
Clearly, then that means it's not for everybody. But if you're into it,
the negative thing is that they're highlighting the dark side of the Grateful Dead community, and there was a fucking dark side to the Grateful Dead community.
Have you been to a Dead show?
Yeah, it's part-
there still is. There's a dark side of Dead and Company shows.
Yeah.
It's
there's
just
a dark side to shows.
It's just
Yeah,
pastel
everything.
colored and kind of silly.
Yeah, there's a dark side to Weird Al Yankovic shows.
Dark side of the
Yeah.
moon.
Yeah, so you should go check out Dead and Gone, man. It's Payne Lindsay, the creator of Up and Vanished and Radio Rental. He partnered with Jake Brennan, who's the guy that hosts Disgraceland, and they're the guys that created Dead and Gone. So what this podcast is about is, like, back in the 80s, 2 fans of the Dead were murdered, and the cops arrested the wrong dude and sentenced him to death. And for 30 years, there's been like rumors around the Grateful Dead community that the cops busted the wrong dude. And so what they did with this podcast is they created a 10-part investigative thing that dives really deep into this 30-plus-year-old case. And it uncovers a bunch of new information. It talks to some witnesses. It even comes to maybe an alternative thing that could have happened with this. So go check it out. Go search Dead and Gone, and it's streaming on all the podcast stuff right
It's
there.
fun
but-
to listen to with like hot chocolate and a blanket and some popcorn, and maybe like you have a cool light on your ceiling and the light is dim and you have your electric fish light on with your Shop Tour Bus t-shirt and you're just being cozy and cute.
Cute. That's funny, Mel.
That's my whole thing. What I think about Dead and
Anyway,
Gone.
Made that sound like a comfortable listening
I
experience.
know, yeah,
there.
you did. I got super sidetracked on to all that. I got started talking about Osiris and went down this fucking rabbit trail. Anyway, there's some really good stuff happening, and that is really balanced by the really shitty things that are happening. This past week, me and Apple got into a beef.
Oh my God, I loved hearing about
I wanted
this.
to address that. When you asked me how my week, that's how I was going to start it out. So let me say,
I will.
everybody out there, this year has been tough, and we all get sidetracked. I'm a dipshit sometimes, and I was getting quite negative, and I wasn't realizing it. So thank goodness. So if anybody has this happen out there with a brother, sister, mother, father, anybody, your roommates, if you have a blow up, don't walk away from it. Immediately sit and talk to each other, because it's somebody that loves you. Me and Aaron had Sunday morning. We went to like Costco, PetSmart, freaking World Market of Choice. We ran all these errands together, and it was really kind of quiet. Aaron was being quiet. I wasn't feeling good last weekend. I was getting over sinus infection. And all this happened. We get back, and what was Aaron? He's also, so how much is the split on the Costco thing? Because we all pitch in on everything. And I was like, dude, give me a minute. I'll figure it out. And he just looks at me. He's like, fuck you. I'm over this. I'm over this fucking shit. Fuck you. And he like storms out of the house.
And Apple's like,
And
fuck you.
Yeah, so I don't know what it's about, but I'm like, well, fuck you too. And he goes out front, slams the door to go out front and hang out. And I was just going to sit and stew. I got some sushi. I was sitting there getting ready to start eating. And I was just going to sit there at
Bad
the table
mood
and
sushi.
badmouth him for fucking, I don't know why. I didn't know why. I didn't know why he was upset at me, but I was going to sit in there and eat my sushi bitterly and be like, fuck Aaron. Fuck Aaron. He's my best friend in the world. He's my brother. So I immediately got to push my sushi to the side and I go out front. I was like, dude, what the fuck's going on? And we had like a 20-minute conversation. Basically, he was pointing out, he's like, dude, you have been really funky lately, and it's getting hard to deal with. And at first, you hear it from one person, and you're kind of like, well, whatever, it's your opinion. But everybody agreed, even at work. Even at work the next day, I like tell, my boss, and she's like, well, tell Aaron thank you, because I was about ready to knock you out a couple times last couple weeks, because I'm a happy-go-lucky person, so I guess when I'm off, it really is more noticeable.
Oh, yeah.
Those Geminis, man.
Several people have commented on
Well, it's
it,
Apple too. It's him.
and I gotta say too, part of it is, and I guess this goes in how my week is going. It was a wake-up call. I don't think I've hugged Aaron so much in a while. Thanking him, it kind of snapped me out of it, because I was being really pissy about the holidays too.
Yeah.
Which is not me. I'm fucking Santa Claus.
Yeah, he was.
And I was like,
Kinda sucked.
I don't even think I'm going to do Santa this year. So this weekend, we're going over to our friend. I'm going to our friends Jake and Bren's house to go do a Santa photo shoot with them, because they usually go to the mall to do it with their kids and stuff. So Santa's going over to their house. I'm getting in the spirit, but my point is like, when we're all getting funky, if you see one of your loved ones, friend, family, whatever, point it out to them. Confront. I mean, this is also a good year for confrontation, especially getting towards the end of it. It really fucking helped me and changed my attitude, made me feel better mentally and physically.
It was a trip, man. Like, we had our fucking sesh out on the porch, yelling at each other for a little while. And then we squashed it and gave each other a hug. Within 2 hours, you were back to normal. I was like, whoa. Holy shit.
I didn't realize, and I was getting funky.
He needed to get yelled at.
Yeah. And you know what's fucked
and to
up?
be fair too, also Aaron was receptive to it, and I told Mel when Mel got home, Mel got both of our sides, which all sides are a little different, but it's like I had a few things to say too. We all do in this house. The wall, Aaron said it, and we all feel it. When you live with people this year, the walls are closing in. everything, because we've been with each other and we're all seeing ourselves so much, and the ones we love and live with so much.
The people you live with are a reflection of you.
We're all under like a microscope. Like
we are, and we're forcing each other to get better because we're improving ourselves. So by improving ourselves, we're not going to take someone else's shit, and we're going to like say something because they need a change too. Like what was funny was hearing Aaron on the backside and then seeing Apple like feeling funky. And then when I come home from work, Aaron comes like up to me immediately and was like, Apple and I got into it today.
And that was funny. We all knew each other so well because you got home and I stayed out in the front, but it was like, okay, Aaron's going to tell her. And then like 20 minutes later, you came out, I was still out front, and she's like, so how you doing? And then she got my side. I'm more of like a verbatim person.
I'm not.
Aaron's the boiled down hard, just the facts, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Like dragging it, just the facts.
Apple be like, the wind was blowing from the southeast at 2.7
and this is what happened. Hold on, let me get
I took a drink of my tea and I sat down and
Aaron was standing like this with his hand on his hip. And
I'm like, we yelled at each other and then it was cool.
But I'll tell you what, coming home, the air was clear. It felt good. It felt like they had swept the driveway and they did not do that. There was leaves everywhere. It felt like it's, living with, like, everybody goes through cycles as a human being, and Apple definitely has cycles. So does Aaron. Aaron had to get yelled at earlier in the year.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. We've all had our turn.
Yeah, we've definitely all had our turn. And
Ryder did. We all did this year. A funky moment where your loved one's got to like.
We have to first like kind of talk behind each other's back at first to kind of like see if like, are we the one tripping?
Is it just me?
That's one of the things great about all of us living together is because we can go to basically there's four of. I mean, Simon lives with us, but Simon's 18, has his own thing. But we go. You have two other people to check with on that fourth person.
Yeah.
To be like, is it just me or is Melanie
Melvin
being and then when we all agree, we have a rule in the house that's been since we moved in here. If three people agree, you are wrong.
Yeah, if you don't remember and like if you're like that didn't happen, and then if three other people in the house are like it did, then that shit happened.
Yeah,
because nobody in this house has a memory. So yeah, that's
maybe another reason why it's felt really good around here. That was weird.
I'm
Darwin was doing something weird.
He just like stood up and was like, I thought he was going to throw up for a minute. He was like going, I think he was licking the rug and got hair in his mouth. Don't lick the rug.
Yeah.
That's just a little side note for 2020 as well, guys. Don't lick the rug. It's not good. You're going to get hair in your mouth. No, you know what? We are all reflections of each other. And typically in a normal time span that we're in a normal timeline, we get breaks from staring in the mirror, and we aren't getting breaks from the mirror right now. And we're all tripping balls. And so that pimple that's on your forehead looks like Mount Vesuvius at this point.
Yeah.
So any fucking thing that comes up is like double. And for me, it's like, okay, man, I'm dealing with my own inner turmoil and trying to stave off ennui and fucking darkness inside myself, and then my best friend who lives with me is turning into an ogre.
That was one of the sweetest things I think you've ever said to me in our 30-something year friendship, and that fucking hit me. That's what really hit me when you looked at me, and we're grown kind of burly men. We were both out there crying. And
I wasn't crying.
I wish that I could have been Ryder that day, because Ryder was.
It was because Aaron, and he's like, bro, like crying, yelling at me, and he's like, bro, we are each other, man. I count on you to make me feel good, like when I'm feeling shitty, and you ain't there for that. You're my reflection, and when I look in the mirror, I don't like it. And fucking, you bursted outside. I was just like, holy shit, I'm so sorry, bro. Because it's the same for me and Aaron, like all our tastes, we have so much in common.
I have this dumb game that I do in this, like designer magazines, where I just they'll like list like maybe like 5 lounge chairs, and I'm like, okay, which one would you pick?
There's pictures. There's like,
Yeah.
5 different
Which lounge
chairs.
chair would
Yeah,
you?
and
Mel,
so
which
I'll hand it
lounge
to
chair would you
Ryder.
be?
I'll hand it to Aaron. I'll hand it to Apple. Aaron and Apple always have the same answer.
And
It doesn't matter
And we
if
don't
it's-
do it. She makes us do it blind. Like
Oh,
she
yeah.
asks him separate and then shows it to me and then goes, "You guys picked the same fucking thing again."
You can't even pretend it. So yeah, they definitely are like one and the same in a lot of ways.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah,
Flock together.
same music, same clothing, same food tastes, same all of it.
Weird.
It's about
It's weird
Yeah.
to have that. It is. It's a trip, and it's hard when that is out of balance. It's
Yeah.
fucking weird.
Yeah, I
And-
would imagine.
Not to mention like psychedelics add a whole other dimension to all of this, because being open and empathetic around each other so often and so much, I'm talking all of us, like the house,
yeah.
there's a barometric pressure in the house that, because I'm here all the time, like you guys leave and go out into the world. I don't do that anymore. I'm here, right? So I'm like holding down the barometric pressure. I'm holding space in the house all the time. And so if somebody now comes into the house funky, it fucks me up. I feel it. It's like turning the TV up to full volume. Whereas before I would leave and that energy would come off of me during the day. It's not like that anymore.
And that was
I'm
something
just here.
That was something you yelled at me too that I didn't realize until you did too. You're like, dude, I'm fucking stuck here, and then it made me realize we're all empathetic, but I've put up a force field lately because me, Mel, Ryder, Simon, we all leave the house every day and go kind of work like the term on the front lines.
Yeah.
We're seeing and dealing with thousands of people a day.
Yeah.
And people are so weird. I realized, and it's a good thing, bad thing, a good thing mostly. I think you have to kind of guard yourself from that because people's energy is weird.
you get come home with mud all over your shoes.
And when you told me, I was like, holy
I don't
shit.
have that anymore.
You're more open than before.
I'm just here. Like I have no reason to put up a guard. I'm with my people, my dog.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So
I come home stinking like doo-doo. You're like, damn, dude. What's all that shit?
Yeah.
So
leave the
wipe your
funk at
boots
the
off.
door.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, that's our world this week.
So
man.
to wrap up,
Yeah.
because we kind of started that. My week has been fantastic now because Mel's bringing the holiday spirit to it. I'm going to start playing Santa this weekend, and me and Aaron had a good fucking
Cleansing.
Good cleansing, yeah, that's a good word for
colonic.
it. Yeah, it's been a good week. I've been on point.
That's really good to hear, Apple.
Yeah, taking
For
care
reals.
of myself.
It's good to have you back, man.
Hey, it's good.
It
to be
is
back.
good. Today I was like, so how was Apple this morning? He was like, fine. Totally normal. I was like, for real? He was like, yeah.
Yeah, she was checking in. Like, are you sure? For real? Yeah.
I was like, okay. That's it. Okay.
Yeah,
Right
so
on.
it's the point of all this. Like, if someone in your family and you're being hesitant of talking to them, talk to them. I mean, you don't have to yell and cry or anything.
Sometimes you got to work up the nerve because Aaron's been feeling it for a hot minute. And same thing with like when we need to talk to Simon or Ryder. It's not. It's easier said than done, but you need to make it happen.
I'm a big softy, man. I don't like fighting. I don't like confrontation. I told Apple that day, like, I've been trained by the Jedi master of avoidance,
of brushing shit under the rug.
My mom was the queen of like, if we don't talk about this, it'll all be
go
better
away.
later. And so that doesn't work. And then I married you, who's the antithesis of that, who's like, this before the fart even is all the way done, you're like, it stinks in here. We need to talk about it.
Let's get this shit out.
So, yeah. What? She's laughing because it's true. That's what that is. Anyway.
I will not be emotionally uncomfortable for one more second than I have to be. I don't care if I literally am sleeping on a fucking stone or a knife, but you make me uncomfortable in my head, and that's fucking it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tolerate
We're
it.
talking it out right
Yeah.
now. I don't care.
But
if
it works.
yeah.
It does.
It does.
And it's something that's endearing, but also frustrating.
It
with
is
Melanie
frustrating.
sometimes.
It's
like
very-
sometimes you don't want your shit thrown right in your face at that moment, but it's good. It's good.
Yes, I agree. I agree with everything
There's
they're
nothing
saying.
like letting it fester is not good, because me and Aaron, it festered for a few weeks, but then it was a magnificent blow up.
Well, see, it was like what you were saying. You dealt with your mom like being like that. Well, my mom like made me stuff my emotions in. So now at this stage of my life, it's like, no, you fucking don't.
Hell no.
Hell yeah. If anything is gonna no. Sorry. We're talking about the toilet seat. We're talking about the socks. We're talking about the Darwin's friggin' hair everywhere. We're gonna talk all about it.
Oh God, I gotta go.
No.
Just kidding.
But then we're gonna have fun
Yeah,
and spread
we are.
holiday cheer after.
So, guys, I guess the moral to this week's intro of No Simple Road is talk to the people in your life that you care about.
Yeah, check in on them.
Communication is key right now, you guys. And that's another thing that has come to my attention is the mission of No Simple Road is becoming more clear to me what this show is. And you know, when we started No Simple Road, I don't know if there was a mission other than just doing it. And I remember when we talked to the Mom and Me podcast, they said, Aaron, in 2016 you were planting seeds and you didn't know what you were planting, but that garden is now a garden and you're not planting anymore. And I really do feel that now at the end of 2020. I know what this garden is all about. And that's about being connected with you guys and making sure that we all feel loved through all of this, and that we all
that we know we're loved,
and that we all stay connected and reminded of the things that are important and the things that make us happy and bring us joy, which is the music and the experience that we have through that, and the artists that bring us that, and the community of you, me, and everybody listening coming together. And right now we can't do that physically. So, you know, this is our version of a live stream, is putting this podcast out every week for you guys so that you can hear our voices. We can all sit down together and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you can feel connected to something bigger than just what's inside the four walls of your house. And that's super fucking important right now, man. And
It's
More than ever.
It's been an absolute honor to be there for you guys this year with
Oh
so
my
much
gosh.
kind of missing.
Yes.
so anyway, that's that. And we're going to do the business, and then you're going to hear an amazing interview from the Owsley Stanley Foundation. So,
And you're going to want to hear all this music as much
oh
as
God,
I
you're going to
will.
want to buy all those CDs. So anyway, follow us on all the social media platforms at No Simple Road. If you are unsure what to get that certain someone in your life for Christmas this year, you can go to www.nosimpleroad.com and pick up some merch.
Yes, our merch is really awesome.
Mhm.
I
And
love our new logo.
thank you, PJ, for upping your pledge on Patreon.
Woo,
I fucking love you,
PJ.
man.
What,
You
PJ?
are a
What?
bomb.
We love you, PJ.
Thank you so much, brother. And
Dang,
all of you
PJ.
people out there, this is the time of year when we're supposed to be in the spirit of giving. And if you're one of those people that listens to No Simple Road on the reg, and you've never gone to patreon.com/No Simple Road, well, guess what? Now's
Do a
the
little
time.
cute Christmas present.
Do $1. Or if you want to do a one-time thing of like $5 for all the shows you've listened to, you can go to PayPal, and you can give it to nosimpleroad@gmail.com through PayPal. But if you go to patreon.com/No Simple Road and you sign up as a patron and become a Chan donator, you're going to get 25% off No Simple Road merch and all kinds of cool stuff, man. So go, you can give $1 and then you get like all this other stuff. So go check it out. We also, if you want to do something as a Christmas gift for us, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're listening on that platform, go check it out. Leave us a review. That is how we spread the mycelial network of No Simple Road out into the universe, into other people's ear holes that haven't heard No Simple Road before. Or just tell somebody about the show, man. that. Just
That's
do
the
that.
best. Word of mouth. If you dig this,
Listen to
your
it with
friends are going to
somebody.
dig this.
Be like, hey, let's hang out for an hour together and let's listen to No Simple Road.
Whoa. Let's do
That's
that.
dope.
Well, our shows are long.
I'll give you
2
one
hours.
earbud. You take the other side.
All right. So that's that. That's the business. Anything else? Am I missing anything?
No.
Tap it line.
Oh, yeah. Hey, if you want to leave us a
Tap it
message, you
Oh
can
my
call
God.
971-808-1524. That's 971-808-1524. Tell us Merry Christmas. Tell us Happy New Year. Tell us how much you hated 2020. Give me
Tell us a story.
Give
Tell
me your
us a
favorite
joke.
bread recipe. I don't know. I've been making a lot of bread lately, so
Yeah.
Aaron
that.
has become the baker.
I have. Anyway, that's it. We're going to get you there.
Yeah, that's it.
Is everybody ready?
I'm ready.
Get ready to hear some shit, man. This is dope.
I'm ready to hear it.
All right.
I really am.
Without further ado, the No Simple Road crew is honored to bring you
The Owsley Stanley Foundation.
Okay.
Here you are.
Are we good?
Yes.
All right. So what were we doing?
So you're going to edit and everything, so we should just start at the beginning again.
Yeah.
Now that
Hey,
we're all set.
welcome to No Simple Road, Owsley Stanley Foundation. What's up, you guys? How's it going? I'm Aaron. That's
Apple.
and that's
Cody.
what's going on, you guys. Will you do us a favor and tell everybody who you are? That would be awesome.
I'm Starfinder Stanley. I'm the president of the Owsley Stanley Foundation, and Bear was my dad.
Right on, man.
I'm Hawk. I'm the executive producer of the Owsley Stanley Foundation, and it's great to be here with you guys.
You guys, man, thanks a lot for coming on. I appreciate it. The work you're doing is super fucking important, and yeah, it's an honor to have you guys on the show. Appreciate it.
Great to be here. Oh, we can swear on this show too.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Wonderful.
Yeah, man. Actually, we corresponded a while back. I think it was Starfinder and I, maybe 8 months ago or something. And we were going to get you on the show, and then life proceeded to get insane. And, that's how shit goes, man. But I was wondering, man, if you would talk a little bit about what's going on and what you're doing right now, because it's really important work, first of all, and second, everybody out there needs to know what it is.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we've been a busy bunch.
Yeah.
Seems like the more things we do, the more things there are. The foundation was started back in 2011 as a 501c3 nonprofit after my dad died in a car accident down in Australia. And he left behind a trove of his tapes, which he called his sonic journals. And what they were the recordings that he made when he was designing the first sound systems, starting for the Grateful Dead, but basically the first high fidelity sound systems for amplified rock and roll music. Mm-hmm. So, when he started out, everything was pretty low fidelity, tinny and if you think about the public address systems in big stadiums, that was about the state of the art back then. And he was an audiophile in a low fidelity time. So he had a really kick-ass sound system at home. And he literally took that and put it on stage with the Grateful Dead, which, got blown up pretty quick, I think, but right. It sounded pretty good. As he started building better and better systems, he realized that it was really important for him to be able to hear and experience exactly what the audience was getting at the shows, so that he could improve it. Mm-hmm. And so he developed a technique of miking that really captured what it was like to be in the room, in the audience, with the band experiencing the show. And they were his sonic diary. So he called them his sonic journals. He tried to record everything. It was his way of constantly being able to up the bar. And over the years, he accumulated about 1,300 reels of
Jesus.
recordings of, you know, a lot of Grateful Dead, as you might imagine, but also over 80 different artists and bands that played on sound systems that he set up. So he left these tapes behind, and there is just some exquisite music and some amazing historical documents of the birth of rock and roll in the 60s. This amazing musical scene that was happening in San Francisco.
Right.
Yeah, it's more than just rock and roll. It's 80 different artists in just about every musical form you could imagine, and it really is an incredible document, testament to the diversity in the Bay Area music scene at that time. And you know, part of what we're trying to do with the narrative of our releases, you know, one of the number one questions that we always get is, well, why did you choose this one? And why did you choose that one?
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to tell a story. Everybody knows a significant piece of the Grateful Dead story,
right,
which is, of course, essential. But we're trying to show the whole swirling mix of the musical environment in which Owsley inhabited, and all of these touch points with these artists that some would be surprised to know that Owsley even had anything to do with them, let alone, you know, happen to record their performances and keep them and not record over them for 50 years.
Right.
And that's, we hope people get that. We hope people understand what we're trying to do, because not every release is going to feature, you know, a quintessential psychedelic band from the Bay Area, as we've seen so far, because that's not entirely what the Bay Area music scene was about. And it's certainly not what Owsley's sort of broad view of, you know, music and art encompassed. So
and also, I mean, the other thing about that is that none of these musical experiences was happening in a vacuum. I mean, part of what made the psychedelic rock scene so rich was the cross-pollination, all of these different music styles coming through and influences on the different members of the bands. And so you get a lot more diversity of expression because of that intersection of all these different types of music.
Right. And so the one that I know about from Dennis is the Ali Akbar Khan. That's the one that's getting ready to come down, right?
Yep. We're the release date is December 18th. And we're actually shipping right now. We're doing a pre-release opportunity. People can go on our website and get the disc in the mail right now until before the release date for the Ali Akbar Khan. That's our 6th release. Actually, we've got 5 others, so you can throw them all in your Christmas stocking if you want to.
So why'd you pick that one? No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. You know,
you'll know as soon as you hear it.
Yeah, I'm sure, man. You know, there's a lot of info in what you guys just said. And for me, man, the way I think about what your dad did, I mean, I've heard a little bit, and with the Grateful Dead in particular, because that's my frame of reference for his trip. Listening to those tapes does something to me. It's different than other recordings because of the way that it was done. Like, sure, when we listen to music, man, and it's good, the hair will stand up on your arms, you know, or on the back of your neck, you get that chill. But listening to this stuff is like a time machine. I feel the energy of the room. I can feel the people there. You can hear the noise of the crowd when they're cheering for lyrics, or you can kind of hear people singing along, and there's something really special in that. I just wonder if your pops was like trying to capture that magic on a reel to reel.
Well, I mean that's exactly it. He really viewed these as a portal to the event. That he was very insistent that the Sonic Journals be Sonic Journals. He did not want these things taken and cut up into pieces and edited and overdubbed and manipulated.
Right.
He really felt that as soon as you start to manipulate the 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 base tape, the source material, you're going to lose something magical.
Yeah.
There was something really important about having the pure connection. And we at the foundation, one of our founding tenets is that we really honor that. We try to make sure that we are doing things to bear standards, which is why we had to start a nonprofit.
Yeah, it may not be the cheap way, but it's the right way, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as you might know from the whole story of the Wall of Sound,
Right.
it was the most amazing sounding setup that has ever been created, and it cost more to move around from town to town than they could make selling out all their shows.
Right.
So that's a sustainable proposition, but that's the dedication to quality that we really want to embody. And so when my dad died, we started the foundation so that we could raise money to preserve all the tapes. I mean, it's really important to not let any of this musical history fade into oblivion. The
Right.
tapes are physically deteriorating. Every year that passes, they get older. And they're over 50 years old, most of them, and the little iron particles fall off the tape and music's gone.
Right.
So we really have a ticking clock that we're keeping an eye on, and Bear knew that before he passed. He was thinking about it, and he was waiting for technology to mature. He really was. He wasn't necessarily an analog Nazi. He certainly was fine with digital as long as digital was high enough fidelity, and a lot of it wasn't. And to get to the quality level that was his minimum standard costs a lot of money.
Right.
And fortunately, that the cost comes down year after year. The technology gets better year after year. But while he was alive, it was too much. And so when we started the foundation, the objective was to be able to raise enough money so that we could preserve all of the tapes, because you can't listen to them until you preserve them. I mean, that's the thing. They're on the reels. Every time you run a tape through a machine, you're going to degrade it.
You're losing something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of this stuff, are you hearing for the first time? Like,
Yes, we do no recreational listening at all.
Holy shit,
We
wow.
never pull off a reel and say, "Oh, I wonder what's on this." It doesn't get listened to until it gets preserved, and that's part of. We have to be strategic in how we select reels to be preserved.
Right.
Try to look for the most damaged reels, or the most likely to be subject to degradation based on brand and age. Visual inspections sometimes. So yeah, no, we don't sit there and roll tape for our personal listening pleasure. We have a very strict protocol that we follow in terms of how the tapes can be handled. It's based on the Grammy Foundation's preservation protocols. We adapted it to our needs as well. I think it's in some degrees the measure of a live recording. You hear people say all the time, "Well, this one puts you in the room. This one puts you in the room." Mm-hmm. Owsley's tapes really put you in the room. Sometimes not just in the room, but on the stage. On the Doc Watson tape, you can hear Doc's foot tapping if you listen closely. You can hear the tick of the pick on the strings. I mean, it's that clear.
Yeah, I swear, if you turn off the lights, you will hallucinate Doc sitting on your couch. Here's
somebody wrote to us last night about Ali Akbar Khan. It's somebody with experience with Indian music, was a tabla player, and he, after a lengthy email where he sort of breaks down what he's hearing in the composition and the improv, which is pretty impressive in and of its own, he says, "I never saw Ali Akbar Khan. I've heard him on numerous recordings, but after listening to this, I feel like I have seen him play.
Holy shit.
And I wrote back to the guy. I was like, that's the highest compliment anybody could give. And who would love that? Bear would love that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the goal.
I mean, not to be silly, and I'm not saying this to be funny, but this whole thing is a testimony to the visionary power of LSD. It's simple. I mean, if you think about those trips and the things that happen and the ideas that we have and the creativity that's formed out of that, this whole thing that's happening is the result of that on some level. I mean,
Starfinder, talk about the synesthesia, and the impact of synesthesia on, the way Bear perceives sound.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And just before we go off on that tangent, the thing with Ali Akbar Khan, he was not a psychedelic explorer by any means, but if you guys pull out the liner notes, that one thing that at the foundation that Hawk and I and our collaborator Pete Bell really take pleasure in is diving into doing the liner notes and the package for the music. That's where we get to flex our creativity as well. And if you read the liner notes on this one, there's a pretty interesting exploration of Indian classical music and its convergence in San Francisco and in the Bay Area with the psychedelic scene and my dad and his theories. So even though this is not a musician who is personally inspired by psychedelics, there's definitely a strong psychedelic thread that runs through this this particular release.
Going right to the story that we learned in our research from a director of the Ali Akbar College of Music in 1968 or so. He said that Owsley had contacted Ali Akbar Khan because he believed that Indian classical musicians had the keenest insight into the effect of rhythm on the human central nervous system. And he had envisioned creating a raga-based psychedelic machine that could induce instant mental transcendence. And he had called up Ali Akbar Khan to help him with this project. And Ali Akbar Khan said no. But,
no thanks, man.
For all we know, these tapes were part of that, that plan, that master plan.
Wow. Man, that is. I just got to say, it's got to be like Christmas for you guys every time you get to listen to one of these reels. Like, just the anticipation of not knowing what the hell's behind that next one and what you're going to get to hear.
Well, Hawk has well-worn ears. I think where we have successfully transferred over 800 tapes now. It gets challenging to find the time to listen to everything in the detail that it needs to listen. But Hawk's a monster on the headphones.
Oh shit!
Everything gets logged, everything gets noted, and I'll tell you what, listening to it by yourself, we can't share the music because part of our mission is really to work with the artists and their estates and make sure that they're not exploited without their permission. Mm-hmm. That's not a legal position. That's a moral position that we take that was sort of handed down to us from Bear. So I listen to these things and I can't share them. And I every once in a while have this breakthrough where it's like, oh my God, that's so-and-so, or that's such and such, or that's the first time this has ever been played, or, oh, this is amazing. Listen to the quality of this. And I can't share it with my friends. I can't say, hey, it's just, we got to put it in queue, run our traps, get it in front of the artists or their estates. So to me, when you talk about Christmas, like every single one of these releases are like our children. Right. And we get so excited to bring them into the world for the first time in 50 plus years. That's the reward. That's finally the moment where I get to say, hey, I wanted to share this with you for 2.5 years. Here you go.
Yeah, you've gotten a private gift that you couldn't share with anybody, and all of a sudden you get to hand it out.
That'd be like having the best secret in the world, and you want to tell everybody, and you can't. Wow, man.
Yeah, well, it's more than a gift. It's his entire salary because we're 100% volunteer run. So we've got day jobs, and we're doing this in the background. That's one of the challenges is as we're building the archive up and getting more and more of these tapes transferred and wanting to get more and more of them in the queue and get them out. We're managing 2, 3 a year. We'd like to be able to do more, but it takes time. And the primary thing we direct the money to, all of our donations go towards preserving tape. Right. Preserving tape. And then the releases. When we get funds back from our portion of the sales, that goes right back into the foundation as well. So we're really working away at being good stewards of the donations that folks have entrusted us with. It's really important to us that we honor those contributions.
That's it's been very much a community project, and that's what's been fun to see as well. Just look at our conversations with people on our Facebook feed. People write to us, contribute to us to preserve specific artists, specific reels. We have an adopt a reel program where for a donation at a certain level, you work with us to pick out the next reel that gets priority preserved. You get pictures of the reel itself, any notes that Bear wrote on the back of the box. But again, you don't get to hear the music unless you come visit us, and that's happened too. People have come to my house here in Pittsburgh and sat in the garage and listened to the reels that they preserve.
You see the Myers speakers. Move your shoulder again.
Oh shit! Nice. You talk about the adopt a reel thing. We were looking at it this morning. It's not as expensive as I thought it would be. I mean, it's doable if, depending on your situation. And that's I don't know. I'm one for like wanting to put that monetary energy into things that I love. And that's a good place to put your money where your love is. Like
it is. Well, yeah. You can certainly put your money in where your love is by going to our website and buying the journals that we've put out. We got 6 of them. Yeah. And then if you have money left over, by all means.
Yeah.
Well, and even like I don't know what level it was that I saw, but like at one of the levels, your name actually appears on the liner notes when the thing gets released, right?
Yeah, that's the adopt a reel level. And there are two ways that works. One is if you adopt a reel that gets released, you get a line item mentioned under adopt a reel patron in the liner notes. Others will sponsor projects at the same level or more, and that's where we occasionally have top secret conversations about what's coming next and would you like to help back this project. And people can contribute to projects as well as the preservation effort. I think our preference is for the preservation effort, but we're to be fair, we're pretty far down the path at this point with more than 800 preserved.
Wow.
That's what I was going to add. Sound like you said 800. So you're well. At this point, you don't believe you're going to lose any of the reels. You're working towards getting preserved, and then the real work comes in of getting through the red tape, of getting to the estates and the okay, which I imagine there's probably ones that you realize are probably won't ever get released.
Yeah, well, there's 1,300 reels. That doesn't mean that there's 1,300 releasable shows.
Yeah,
right. Not every night in the music scene is worth listening to 20 times. But they all have historical significance, and they all need to be preserved to be part of it's American musical history.
Right.
It's for posterity, and it's not just about the music. It's also about the the evolution of Bear's sound systems and the techniques, and they're historical documents. So it's really important that they all get preserved, regardless of their commercial viability. I mean, again, going back to why we started a nonprofit, we didn't want to have to cherry pick stuff and say, oh, we could make money off of this, we could make money from that. We want to try to save everything. And then when we come back around, we want to be able to, when we find the gems that we want to share with the world, that people are going to want to hear, we don't want to have to think, well, is this going to be commercially viable? Is this going to sell a lot of albums? Is this going to appeal to this demographic or that demographic? Or, maybe we shouldn't spend so much money doing the 180 gram vinyl because that's, because we want to do it as well as it possibly can be done. And so when we take it on, that commercial consideration is the last thing. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it as best as we possibly can. That said, we try not to waste money. But we're not going to compromise on audio quality. That's
first.
The number one question is, what would Bear do?
Right.
Yeah.
And he wasn't known for compromising.
No. The wall of sound is the exclamation point at the end of that sentence.
Testament to that.
Is there?
We were going to talk about synesthesia. That was you were asking.
Yeah. I would love to hear about that, man.
The acid influence. I mean, and I think acid has played a role in a lot of different levels, in a lot of different ways, as inspiration, and as a key to unlock a lot of elements of people's creativity. But in particular, there's one time that my dad recounted where he was very thoroughly dosed, and he had some wires cross up in his brain, creating synesthesia, which is when your brain interprets inputs from different parts of your sensory system with the wrong processing unit. So
or the right,
a different processing.
There you go.
And the typical one. So what happened was he started to be able to see sound. So his brain was taking the information that was coming through his ears and interpreting it using his visual cortex. And he said he was, out of his gourd, but he recognized immediately that what he was seeing was really important and that he had to hang on to this because not everything that you experience in those moments is retained.
Shit.
But he knew this
or is important.
Because it wasn't what he thought it would be. It was different. He saw something different than what he assumed sound did. And so he used that to inform how he designed sound systems. And it's one of the reasons why his sound systems had such a clarity that is so often missing in live music. He said that he rued the day that he set up the sound system for the Grateful Dead in the same way that he set up his home hi-fi system, which is one speaker stage left, one speaker stage right, and he sat right in the middle, right? That's where the soundboard is, and you sit right in the middle. You got this beautiful stereo image. You have all of this space, and it sounds great. And then you go over there, and it doesn't sound so good anymore. You go over there, it doesn't sound so good anymore.
Right.
But the sound man's usually sitting at the board, patting himself on the back, and hey, it sounds great, and it does right there. But elsewhere, not so much. And Bear didn't like to sit still, and Bear also was highly allergic to EQ. And so he did not want to sit at the board and twiddle switches and move, and adjust things at the board. He really felt that, to make things sound right had to do with selecting the equipment, getting the right mics, and positioning the mics properly.
Right.
And if it didn't sound good, it wasn't a matter of how do I twiddle these knobs. It was go on stage, move the mics around until it sounds right. So there's a lot of running back and forth. And while you're going back and forth, it's like, hey, wait, this doesn't sound so good. And if it doesn't sound right, you move the mics. If it still doesn't sound right, you change the mics. But what he realized when he was moving around was that, that beautiful stereo image from a split sound system where you have the same sound coming from the speakers on the right as you have coming from the speakers on the left, and they're hitting your ears at the same time if you're right in the middle, didn't translate when you got off center. And it goes back to, and he loved telling this story, the fact that we are designed to interpret sound in a way that gives us spatial information. And so we have two ears, one on either side, and they're separated by the width of your head, which is fairly consistent. And
unless you're this guy.
Some bigger than others.
Yeah, and sometimes it tends to expand at times. But when you hear a sound with your eyes closed, you can point at where it is.
Right.
You know where that sound's coming from. And the reason you can tell that is because the amount of time it takes for the sound to get to your right ear versus the amount of time that it takes for the same sound to get to your left ear, slightly different. Now, sound's moving quick, so that's a very small difference in the amount of time that those sounds get to your ear, but your brain can discern that, and it turns it into spatial information and says it's over there. So when you're sitting right in the middle of those two speakers and they're both producing the same sound, that sound comes from both of those speakers and it hits your right and left ear at the same time from both speakers.
So it doesn't matter where you go.
So it resolves to the middle in front of you where there is no speaker, right? Because your brain is interpreting those four sounds as coming from one sound right in front of you. So you can trick your brain,
right,
which is interesting. And you can play with that and move sounds around with just two speakers. But
what is a city without its music?
The legacy of the New York Philharmonic is incredible.
Nearly 2 centuries of history. That's a lot of music and a lot of stories.
I was sitting on stage for the very first time thinking, I can't quite believe this is happening.
Join me, Jamie Bernstein, as we explore the history of the New York Philharmonic. It's the NY Phil story made in New York, a podcast about a city, its people, and their orchestra. Listen wherever you get podcasts.
if you're not right in the middle, then you have the sound coming from speaker right, 1, 2. You have the sound coming from speaker left, 3, 4. Now you got 4 instead of 2, resolving to 1. And your brain can't make sense of it, and so it resolves to mud. And that's why most of the time, unless you're in the sweet spot, you go to a show, you can't understand the lyrics. You can't tell what, if you go to see a band that you don't know and they're singing a song, most of the time you're not going to figure out what the words are unless it's really, really just simple, just the person singing, right?
Right.
And that's part of the problem. And so Bear realized you have to have a contiguous sound amplification. You can't take that sound and split it up into multiple places. You have to have a point source that's emanating, and that's what the wall of sound was. This big system where every speaker was dedicated to producing its own sound, and there wasn't a lot of overlap. And if you look at Hawk's system behind you, that the speakers are right next to each other. They're not split right and left, even though for Hawk, he knows where he's going to sit. He could do it. He could split them and they'd be okay. But the way Bear recorded a lot of his recordings, he's not using right and left on the reel as right and left. He's using them for different channels because he was recording on a 2-track. And so when you put the speakers in a cluster like that, it recreates the sound of the room in a way that's very different than if you split those speakers right and left and tried to do it, because not a stereo image. There were always stereo inputs. He used 2 mics for everything, So every source, he was capturing a stereo image, but he wasn't mixing it to stereo on his deck.
It seems to me like what you're explaining is like if you took each string on the guitar and made it gigantic and put it above the stage, and then took each string on the bass and made it gigantic and put it above the stage, and each head of the drum, and over and over again, extrapolating it outward. Yeah.
I mean, you look at Phil's bass and the wall of sound, and each string had its own speaker. And, you know, the wall of sound was more than just that giant stack of speakers. The wall of sound was what came out of those speakers. And the band was embedded in the wall of sound. I mean, part of the reason that that thing existed was because Bear was trying to make himself obsolete during the show. He didn't want to have to, he wanted to set up the system, turn it on, and you're good to go. I'm going to go have fun.
Right.
So, you know, he wanted the band to be able to hear what the audience heard. He wanted the band to have control over what they gave the audience. I mean, that was part of why he started to record the shows at the beginning. Was he wanted the band to listen, and he was saying basically, hey, is this what you wanted them to hear? Because this is what they got. You know, is this what you wanted them to hear? If it's not, we need to work on it. And you know, he really didn't feel like it was his place to make decisions. What the level? Oh, you know, these guys need to go up. These guys need to come down. You know, he wanted the musicians to have full control over the expression of their art. And so, you know, putting them in front of that wall of sound, they heard it as it was going to the audience. Now they had to design, you know, those phase canceling microphones. So that
those are the ones with the three
feedback.
Yeah.
But you know, that was, you know, it's funny. We were just talking about this yesterday with something that Ron Wickersham had said in a conversation a year or two ago, where, you know, somebody asked, well, you know, what was it like to set out to build the wall of sound? And he just laughed, because he's like, we didn't set out to build the wall of sound. We had no idea we were going to end up with that thing. You know, we were just solving problems. You know, you had a problem, you fixed it, and then another problem, and you fixed it, and another problem, and eventually there it was.
That's a lot of fucking problems.
Yeah.
Or a lot of solutions, I guess that's how you look at it.
What should we call it?
Yeah, the wall of solutions. So you said something, Hawk, at the very beginning that I want to go back to. You said, we're not cherry picking, we're trying to tell a story. What's the story? Hey man, set break. Oh man. I never knew that you could record music in a hall like this.
What's crazy is I'm so sweaty. I need a new t-shirt.
You need a new t-shirt?
Yeah.
You know what you should do?
What?
You should go to @ShopTourBus on Instagram or shoptourbus.com online and hook yourself up with some fly-ass dope Grateful Dead inspired merch that's not all sweaty and fucked up from you dancing all night. It's going to be brand new, rolled up. It's going to be in a hand-designed, one-of-a-kind box. It's going to have a pencil in there to spool a Grateful Dead bootleg in there. It's going to have extras and stickers and candy and other stuff. And nobody else on the planet is going to have a box like that or that bootleg.
Wow.
And they're doing pre-orders right now, and for the Let It Grow shirts, and this is a new one for them. One of the new boxes comes with poppy seeds. It has poppy seeds in it, so you never know what you're going to get here.
You're gonna get.
But you're going to be amazed. You're going to be happy. You're going to have fun. You're going to have a bitchin' comfortable shirt. You're going to have a bootleg,
and you're going to get it with free shipping. So if you put in the promo code No Simple Road when you check out, you're going to get that sent to you for free.
What?
For free.
All that clean, dry t-shirt, all those fun trinkets, a tape and a pencil to spool it, and free shipping.
And I'm going to roll us a big fat joint from Define Premium Cannabis while you're buying your shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, you threw me there.
It really is set break.
Yeah, it is time to smoke a joint. So check it out. If you happen to be up in the Portland area, Define Premium Cannabis. We have 2 locations. And this is where I work. We have one in Hillsboro, one in Forest Grove. And we can take care of you. Everybody, this has been a tough year. You need to take care of your head, your body, head to toe, inside and out. We got your dabbables, smokables, vapables, rubbables, edible, I mean, like everything. We have it. Come in. It can be daunting sometimes going into a dispensary. Our bud tenders love what they do.
And if you're one of those,
love hooking people up, so come in. We can answer your questions.
If you're one of those people that hasn't smoked traditionally and you're nervous about going into a dispensary for the first time because it's weird and overwhelming.
It is.
It is.
It can be.
Go over to Define Monday through Friday. Ask for Apple. He'll come out of the back. He's actually dressed like a scientist, and he will scientifically decipher which product is best for you. But in all seriousness, he will help you find the thing that's right for you, man, and help you not feel nervous and overwhelmed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, dude, I was like, wait, can I handle that responsibility? Yes, I can. Yes, you can. I was flashing back to this year. I want to know, because there's like 50-something shows in the year. I got a whole lot of expectations of things.
Oh, yeah, you got to dress like
coming out of those
terrapin
double
turtle, a
doors,
teddy bear, a samurai, a knight, all kinds of shit. No,
and when you come in, you got to make sure to mention that you are a listener of No Simple Road. You'll get 10% off on your purchase. You'll get a free T-shirt. You come in, you make me happy. You may get other things. Who knows? You come visit. We will get you hooked up.
Right on, man. Bear's back at the board. I think the lights are about to come down.
Uh-oh. Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Got your Define. Got your shop tour bus. Hook it up.
Let's go back.
I'm high, clean, got a nice shirt. Okay, here we go.
Set 2.
Well, the story it's a multi-pronged story. The story is about, and I think I kind of answered it before, but I'll try again to the extent it wasn't clear, that there was a swirling mix of music in the Bay Area. That swirling mix was reflected on the radio stations. It was reflected in the way the musicians listened to one another. It was reflected in the way they appeared on bills and diverse combination. At places like Fillmore West and Winterland and Avalon. And it's not a linear progression. These artists shared and inhabited the same space and the same universe, and were listening to one another. And out of that, there are some voices that have lasted for 50 years that in some ways are just as strong now as they've ever been. There are many other voices that have not, that were just as vital in their day and in their place and in the history. And then there were guests that came in from out of town who were important and shared the stage and shared ideas. And, Doc Watson is a perfect embodiment of that. People said, well, why did you start with Doc Watson? Well, first of all, listen to it. And you'll know sonically why we started with Doc Watson, because it's an exceptional recording. But, here's a guy who was the embodiment of Appalachia, coming to the Bay Area, where he was absolutely adored by a subset of musicians, including Jerry Garcia, David Grisman, and many, many others. Owsley had just met him the week before at the Marin County Bluegrass Festival, and had asked him if he could record these shows. And the description of Owsley sitting at a table with Doc Watson, a blind musician, and Owsley hands him a microphone. We got this eyewitness account from the bass player, T. Michael Coleman. So they're sitting at this table having a very serious conversation. Owsley hands him a microphone, and Doc is touching the microphone. And Doc was very technically inclined. He thought he would always do something, with his hands if he wasn't blind, other than guitar picking, building things with his hands. It's just amazing to think of them having this conversation. Then Doc nods and says, "Yeah, go ahead, you can record." And that historical moment, combined with the fact that he's a 7-time Grammy winner that's played before 2 presidents, and an American treasure, seemed to be a great way to come out of the box. And
the other thing too is that this was at the boarding house in San Francisco. And about 8 months before these shows, Bear had recorded Old and in the Way there. And so, those recordings, for a long time, that was the number 1 selling bluegrass album of all time until "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" knocked it off. But those recordings are renowned for the clarity and the sense of space that they give you. So Bear really knew how to mic that room. So when we came across the tapes, we saw the date, we saw the place, we had said, "Oh, this is going to be good." And then we listened to them, and we were going to try to choose a show to represent it, and we couldn't choose. So we weren't planning on doing a 7 CD box set as our very first production. But
so what would Bear do? He'd release it all.
Yeah.
Release it all.
Yeah. So,
but and then you talk about a story. Sometimes the story writes itself, right? So we released Doc Watson. Doc Watson, one of the presidents that he played for was Jimmy Carter in 1980 at a Bluegrass Day. Jimmy Carter hosted a Bluegrass Day. Doc played at lunchtime. Bill Monroe played at prime time in the evening. And during the discussion with T. Michael Coleman, he said, the only time I saw Doc nervous was at that brunch because people were talking over Doc. And Jimmy Carter interrupted, took the microphone and said, y'all need to pay attention here because this is an American treasure. And so please pay attention. And then he hands the microphone back to Doc, and Doc says, "Oh, you make me nervous, Jimmy." So we released this album, and the first person in the country to receive a copy of it was Jimmy Carter, who had, we sent a copy, Starfinder sent a copy to him. He had just had a health issue and wasn't doing well. And so we sent him The Healing Power of Music, sending him the box set. And several months later, we get a lovely letter back, very presidential letter. Nice full paragraph that ends with Rosalind and I look forward to your Allman Brothers release. So he said, Jimmy Carter wants an Allman Brothers release. We better get him an Allman Brothers release. And so I called the Allman Brothers manager, Bert Holman, and he called me back 10 minutes later. He said, I've been looking for somebody at the Owsley Stanley Foundation. We want to do this release. And so we were off to the races on the second release. And so, and each one has a story that's vital to the narrative, not just of us, but also sometimes the history of the band. So Jack and Yorma, before they were Hot Tuna, everybody's familiar with their groundbreaking, mostly acoustic New Orleans house recordings that made their first Hot Tuna album. But they were rocking out electric Hot Tuna before they were even called Hot Tuna. And so this is a sort of forgotten space where they sound more like Jefferson Airplane than they do Hot Tuna, recorded before they even had the name Hot Tuna. It was a piece of their history that they had not even remembered. And, I remember I guess I'm not talking out of school saying this story, but it took us a while to get them to listen to it. I had hand delivered a CD to Yorma. He said, "Oh, this is great. This will be fun." Yeah. Year goes by, running into each other at various events. And so finally worked with Myron, his tech, and they were on the road. And Myron said, I got to wait till I get a bus that has a really nice sound system in it. And so the bus driver, Yorma's off, comes while Yorma's coming back to the bus. Myron says to the bus driver, take a hike for a second. Yorma comes on the bus. He says, hey, I want you to listen to this. And he puts it on. And I remember I was in my office. It was a Sunday. And they listened to it. And Myron says his face broke into the biggest smile. He starts fumbling for his phone. And he calls Jack in where does Jack live? On like the Isle of Wight or something like that. Or Isle of Man. I don't know where. Jersey. He lives on the Isle of Jersey half the year. The other time in LA. He's calling him at like, I don't know what time in the morning, saying, you got to hear this Owsley Stanley Foundation recording. And from that moment on, it was off to the races. And, it's like, we've heard Yorma give interviews since then saying, I couldn't play like that now, not because I was better then than I am now, but I've got so much going on in my head, so much more that I've acquired in 50 years. The freedom with which we were playing at that particular time and the level of experimentation and discovery is, those kinds of things happen once in a life for a musician. And Owsley happened to have his tape running. Wow. To me, that's when you talk about narrative.
That's the story.
An important story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also it's probably a good thing it took us a year to get him to listen to it, because in that time, I think we found the other half of the show.
Do you ever, I mean, like you said, all 1,300 reels aren't going to be released as CD box sets or whatever. But do you foresee maybe in the future, after all of them have been saved properly, somewhere that an individual could go online and hear them?
I mean, absolutely. We as part of our long-term mission as a public charity, the idea is all of this music will be archived and made available for historical perusal. That there are a lot of obviously copyright and intellectual property elements that need to be considered. And again, we are very, very aware and attentive to artists' rights. And so, we need to honor those. But at the same time, be assured that part of the foundation's mission is to preserve all of this music for posterity, and music's nothing if it's not put into ears. So that's an essential part of the process. Our foundation has we have many objectives. Our primary objective is to save the music, and get it into people's ears. One of our mottos is "Dose your ears" with sonic journals. So we're really going to focus on getting the tapes preserved first and foremost. But we also want to maintain Bear's influence in the world. Bear was really a strong supporter of the arts, of improvisation in many, many forms, whether it was music or dance, visual arts. I mean, he considered himself an artist. That was more important to him than his chemistry. It was more important to him than his sound work, even was his sculpture. That was what he felt was, who he was. And he encouraged everybody to find the artist within themselves. During the 60s and even, all the way through his life, he really tried to patronize musicians who were talented, who had something to bring to the world, and help support their development. That's also something that we hope to do with the foundation, as well as continuing his approach to sound. We're fortunate enough in 2015 Hawk to have our big benefit show, our last big benefit. Or was that 2017?
No, it's 2015 November.
15, yeah. That with Hot Tuna, we had Hot Tuna, a number of other musicians, including some young musicians that came up from Australia who Bear was fond of, having a jam session where all the musicians got together and just had freeform improv. We'd love to be able to continue doing those sorts of things on a more regular basis, and to build Bear's, next concept for a sound system. He had ideas that were different from the way most people approach sound, and he really felt that the technology was finally getting to where he could make his next wall of sound. Whether small or large, right. That kind of point source system. And so, we'd like to create that at some point, and use it to help as a nonprofit, to put on shows, to give musicians and sound engineers an opportunity to play with these things and to make some great music and have some fun along the way.
It's something that occurs to me, man. Like, this might seem like a weird question for you, but your dad, your dad to a lot of people in this world is a larger than life figure. He's an icon, and in my mind, a treasure, American treasure. Being his son after he passed, like, did you feel pressure to like measure up to the legacy that he had? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, was that a weight on you?
I mean, I think Stanleys have a certain tendency towards solipsism, in that we are, I'm my own person. Bear was his own person. Bear wouldn't want me to be him. Bear didn't want to be his dad or his granddad.
Right.
He really felt that, if people would ask him to use his art for various things, and he'd say, dude, make your own art. It's not I'm glad that you like my art. If you like my art, buy my art. But if you want to make art, make your own art. I'm a veterinarian. He was waiting for me to get over the medical tomfoolery, settle down and be an artist like I'm supposed to. And it's harder and harder because there are more and more things that need doing. And, his legacy is important to me. And making sure that it is preserved to the best of my ability takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of energy, and you got to pay the bills, and you got to do the things, and Hawk and I both have young kids. My sister Redbird, who's down in Australia and part of the foundation, has two boys as well. So we all have lots of things that are important to us, more than just preserving Bear's legacy.
I gotcha.
So it's a question of balance, and to be the person that embodies those principles of always trying to improve, always questioning your underlying assumptions, never accepting what somebody tells you as truth without looking at it, and I try to be skeptical but open-minded, and all of those things are elements that Bear embodied, and so I think that's the biggest part of holding up his legacy is making people that don't just fit in, that don't just accept good enough, that keep the bar rising and rising with every iteration.
It's really beautiful, man. That's really cool. I only asked you that because of the perspective that we have looking at you. You know what I mean? And I hi. And I get what you're saying, man. And that's really, really couldn't have been better said. That's really cool. So before we go, I know we touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but can one of you tell people where they need to go to get involved, to help and do what they need to do?
Sure. We're pretty easy to find. For those that are on Facebook, our Facebook page is where we tend to have more dynamic content, where we post the sort of day-to-day activities. People preserve reels. We post our thank yous there and show pictures of the reels and tell people what's on them. Talk about our latest releases. Our website as well, for those who are not on Facebook, understandably. Our website is owsleystanleyfoundation.org. There's a lot of good information there. Of course, our store is there. You can check out our CDs and posters and shirts, like my Owsley purple.
And the other thing too, we as I've said before, we're a volunteer-run organization, and we know that not everybody is into Facebook, and we get that. If there are folks out there who are technically savvy and want to help us build our website up so that we can mirror that sort of dynamic content more easily. That's just, we do everything within our skill set, but we got too many balls in the air to be able to web design on top of everything else. So it takes a village. So if there's anybody who wants to help us up our game in that regard, we'd love to hear from you.
So yeah, it's easy to send us a message on the website, to PM us on the Facebook page. We get emails quite frequently. Try to respond to as many as we can. We're not always successful at that, but really heartwarming how much support there has been, and it just keeps growing. We set about to a simple mission: preserve the tapes, and try to do it in a way that Owsley would be proud of. And I don't know that I could have imagined the way you described it, for example, the impact that Owsley has had on so many lives, and his status as an icon, and the love for what he's done and how he's contributed to the development of rock and roll and the scene that we all love so much,
right,
has been really heartwarming. And I think people recognize that we do this for love, and it makes people want to give and share, and they're more than welcome. That's the reward. We don't get salaries. We talk to people, and part of this pandemic misery is that we can't be at these festivals where we typically set up a table and talk to people about what we're doing and let people listen under the headset and hear what we're working on. That's been a real tragedy among many tragedies in these last 10 month.
God, I can't. You just said 10 months. Yeah. It's like, fuck. It's been 10 months, man.
Yeah, we try to get out with the Dead and Company. We have been fortunate to be part of the Headcount Participation Row, the nonprofit organizations that present at the Grateful Dead, the current incarnation of the Grateful Dead, the Dead and Company shows every year. And if people are going to the Dead and Company shows and they don't know about Participation Row, get there early. Go check it out. There's some great organizations there, and Headcount, is really a great organization itself. Getting people registered to vote, to have an effect on the direction the world is going in, super important. But at those Dead and Company shows, we're not at all of them, but we get to go to some of them, and we set up a listening station, and so people can dose their ears. They can get a chance to hear some excerpts from the reels that we've preserved, and get them into the public consciousness. So that's.
With respect to Headcount and Dead and Company and the Grateful Dead and their incredible support for what we're doing, I mean, we wouldn't be here today having this conversation if it wasn't for Headcount and the Grateful Dead.
And Hot Tuna.
We formed the foundation in 2011 after Bear passed away, but we had no money, no ability to raise money. We had one Indiegogo campaign early on. It accomplished its goal, but it was nothing compared to the invitation that we had received unsolicited from the Grateful Dead to be part of Participation Row at Fare Thee Well.
Wow.
And that was the proceeds of that charity auction that went along with those 5 nights gave us our jump start, the infusion that we needed to really start preserving reels and evaluating them to see if we could release some and keep the progress rolling on the preservation. The second big assistance came from Hot Tuna when they played our benefit show, and they have been nothing but gracious and generous with their time and their talents. And we hope in some way that our Hot Tuna release, the Jack and Yorma release, is a way of saying thank you for that. But those 2 events in 2015, so you figured for 3 years we were sort of muddling along, focused mostly on our day jobs and our lives,
right?
And then these opportunities happen, and there's a nice symmetry to it. When you think about what the Grateful Dead was and became, relative to Owsley's involvement and certain degree of patronage that was associated with that in the early days of the Grateful Dead. It's thrilling, gives me goosebumps to think about the way they've given back to this foundation and helping to preserve his legacy.
Yeah, and
it's a beautiful circle.
And the Grateful Dead family coming through like that and donating at those shows gave you that beginning, that first infusion that you needed to get going. That's the family taking care of itself, and that's what it's all about, man. It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
And Mickey, Bob, and Phil have been very supportive throughout.
Yeah.
There's a reason there in our liner notes with a big thank you for every release. They support what we're doing and have given of their time and otherwise.
Yeah, I do want to make sure that we tell people about each of the releases that we've put out.
Yeah.
Hawk started to talk about the Allman Brothers, and that is one of those ones where Bear had the tapes that he wanted to put them out as sonic journals, and there was a compilation that was made that he was dissatisfied with. Because it's not quite the full experience. Part of the problem, of course, was that the Allman Brothers were only 11 months old at that time, and so they'd never seen them before, and he had no idea how long it was going to take for each song to go through. So he didn't know when to swap reels. Although Hawks did yesterday, I don't think there was a reel with enough tape on it at that time to get a full mountain jam.
Right.
Oh shit.
But, so there's some heartbreaking moments where they're just flying along and then suddenly the reel runs out. Zoop.
Oh.
But
so they put that compilation together and it made a lot of sense the way they did it based on where the reel cuts were. And
absolutely.
One person who was not quite happy with that was Bear, because he felt that February 14th, the Valentine's Day performance, was magnificent, and that there was enough of it. There was more of that show than any other, was worth releasing in its entirety. And the Allman Brothers, when we had our discussions, they were really interested in reissuing the 1997 mastered version. And we said, well, okay, we could do that, but why not? Let's release all of it. Let's every reel that we have, we're missing at least one reel, and there are some ugly tape cuts, but we think our people will dig it.
Yes.
If we invest in this, can we give it a try? And so we did a limited edition run of 1,000 that sold out in pretty short order. And we did another round, and that's also doing pretty well. And it's heartbreaking when you hear the reel end in the middle of a jam.
Yeah.
But that's part of
that's cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we didn't just remaster the original release. We went back to the original tapes and we transferred them using the most up to the minute technology, and we had Jeffrey Norman recreate and
do it all from scratch,
from the ground up. And and one of the great things about that deluxe set is that you have 3 of the very first recorded versions of In Memory of Elizabeth Reed. This song was written no more than 3 weeks before these shows. So these are like the fresh, and there's 3 of them and they're different. And so, it's like, that's the sort of stuff that's in the sonic journals, that it's like, how do you choose? We don't want to choose.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get them all right after.
Put it all out.
Yeah, and the commercial approach is, well, you don't want to pay royalties on the same song 3 times. And it's like, well, in our Doc and Merle Watson release, there's 4 shows, there's 4 versions of Tennessee Stud, and it was great. Hawk was talking with T. Michael Coleman, and said, well, you think people are gonna, we were thinking about putting them all out. What do you think people are gonna think? And T. Michael said, well, hell, we never played anything the same way once, much less twice. I don't think it'll be a problem. We love that so much. We named the album never the same way once.
Going back to the Allman Brothers point, with that release, the interesting thing about it was, they have a huge tolerance for the Owsley Stanley Foundation's particular brand of madness. From day one, they were totally respectful of. They're like, well, maybe not the way we do things, but we're dealing with Owsley's tapes here. So let us know what you want to do. Why don't we do the first release as the compilation, and we'll put everything else out for high-res digital download. And the overwhelming response was, thank you for the high-res digital downloads, but can you put it out on CD as well? And so we did that. Both of those were successful enough that the Allman Brothers then released Cream of the Crop, and they took the exact same strategy. They released the best of the summer of 2003 and put the entire shows up for digital download. And it was like, this is a model. This could work. You don't have to compromise. For your fans that really want it all, they should be able to get it all.
Well, if it's called Bears Sonic Journals, if I'm going to present my journal to the world, I'm not going to go through and rip pages out of it. I'm presenting my journal. I'm going to give you the whole fucking thing.
Here's the cliff notes.
That's why it's Bears Sonic Journals. I mean, it's very conscious, from the start that,
which is why when we got to this one, Commander Cody and the Lost Planet Airmen, so as not to compromise, we did all 6 nights available for digital download. So totally uncompromising in terms of mastering, and the investment in as a significant expense for mastering, one that we'll never, ever recoup for a lot of reasons, including that just high-res digital downloads are not as prevalent or as easy to access as other forms of digital media and otherwise. But it was worth it to us because what we did was one show in its completion is on the first CD, and the second CD is really the best of all the others, including I couldn't get my brain around not releasing tracks that have never been heard before, songs that have fallen out of their repertoire. If we have an opportunity to get those in front of people to hear the, full range of this band at this particular time in its development, we have to do that. But you're right, you can't tear pages out of the journal. So you want the whole journal, it's there, and everybody's got access to it, and it cost us a bloody fortune, and that's okay. We're a nonprofit.
But, and part of the balancing act too is if we did that as here's the Commander Cody Sonic Journals box set, then now you got to drop $100 to get the whole thing. So we tried to make it accessible. This is a band too that I think a lot of people may have heard the name, but not necessarily heard the music. And they're great. This release is a lot of fun. It's like it's been stuck in my CD player in my car for months because it's just like every time I go to eject it, it's like, oh yeah, I'll listen. Oh wait, no, and
one more time.
It's great traveling music. It's just the band is talented. The songs are diverse. They cover I don't know how many genres of music. Hawk, was it like 8 different types of So it's just a lot of fun. And it's I really encourage people, even if you don't know Commander Cody, this is really primo stuff, and it's really early. So this is a fresh, young, energetic band. You can really feel the fun that they're having.
Right.
I mean, they were just a lot of fun to experience.
Again, go back to the narrative of the archive. So what came before that was New Riders of the Purple Sage. Commander Cody, some people don't maybe remember that Commander Cody and the New Riders shared management. They shared a studio. They were all neighbors with the Grateful Dead when the bands move over to San Rafael. There was a lot of cross-pollination, a lot of listening to one another. And so when we select songs to go on the bonus tracks, we're listening for those, as Frank Zappa might put it, conceptual continuity clues, that transcend this particular release. So you might hear Commander Cody play Big River and the Grateful Dead played Big River. Well, has anybody looked at who played it first and why, or how it got into their reps? When Johnny Cash came to town or when Merle Haggard came to town, and what they were listening to at that particular time. There's also, I mean, the Buck Owens influence that infuses the Grateful Dead's Working Man's Dead and American Beauty. You've got in the New Riders box set and all those Buck Owens tunes, and then Hello Trouble. That gets an appearance on the Cody box set because it appears in other places within the catalog. And what we're starting to do, this is not rocket science. This is not magic. I mean, we're just sort of putting the puzzle pieces all together, that from these lost recordings. And, that's part of the narrative as well that we didn't get to talk about. So to go back to the earlier question.
Yeah.
Puzzle pieces, except it's 400 jigsaw puzzles that have all been poured into a pile and mixed up. I don't have any of the boxes to tell what the pictures
I was going to say, before we go, I'm going to step out for like 30 seconds because I drank way too much coffee, but I have a very important question before we go as far as somebody that wants to like adopt a reel. But I will be right back.
Go pee, Apple. Man, it's in thinking about what you just said, like 400 jigsaw puzzles all poured into a big box and you don't know which is what, and trying to put that back together again. On some levels, I could think about that and think that is just fuck that. Like I wouldn't. But if it was this, what fun. Like, I get it. I can't even comprehend the amount of work that this must be for you guys. And also, you can't half-ass it because of what it is. But it's got to be a fucking blast, man, right?
Yeah. It's definitely fun, but it's definitely a lot of work. And our volunteers go above and beyond sometimes. Hawk, in addition to being the executive music producer and our number one set of ears, was the mailroom for up until last year when we got the very capable folks at Merch Mountain to take over. He was boxing everything up and sending it out. Before that, my wife and I were doing it. It's nice that we've grown to the point where we can outsource some of that effort, but that's we try to save the pennies where we can.
Yeah, man. All right, Apple. Let's hear the very important question.
Okay. Well, first of all, this is amazing what you guys are doing, and as somebody that, like Aaron said, and we haven't mentioned like dollar amounts or anything, but the adopt a reel thing, it is not an unheard of price. Like if somebody was interested, like I'm interested in adopting a reel, when we do that, do you guys have like an index of the shows that you have, like ones you're sure that would be able to be released that you like present to the person that wants to adopt a reel, so you can like pick a band or something?
It's as you might expect, especially given the analogy that Starfinder used. You may have stepped away when he was talking about the jigsaw puzzle pieces, and not knowing what they are, how they fit together.
Okay.
We have several indexes, and we typically work with patrons. I'll sort of throw out some ideas. At first, I'll get, if a patron is interested, I'll get their input in terms of what music you'd be most interested in preserving. Artists, venues, dates, that sort of thing, genres of music. Look at what's left. Pose some recommendations that might fit the bill. Sometimes most of the time there's an immediate like, oh yeah, that'll work. That'll be good. But a lot of times there's, I'm not so sure about that. Maybe let me try this. And there's always at some point in the discussion when it goes that way, look, there's no guarantee that we're going to find something that's viable. There's no guarantee that it's going to ever be released. There's no guarantee that you're ever going to be able to listen to it. That's part of the risk of the contribution.
Okay.
We tend to focus on three things when I sort of push people towards a reel: the age of the tape, the condition of the tape, the combination of artists on the tape, first and foremost, the jeopardy that tape might be in, to try to get that preserved first, regardless of who's on it. That's a hard sell sometimes.
Yeah.
Everybody wants Grateful Dead, Santana, and Quicksilver. And if I had a nickel for everybody that asked me for Blue Cheer, I'd probably be a pretty wealthy guy. But, you know, there's a lot of that has been preserved already. And I can't apologize for that. You really have to come into the process knowing that this is a charitable contribution, and we will find you a viable match. And I have done things where somebody said, hey, I want, that sounds really interesting. Let's check it out. I said, okay, it's a Jerry Garcia mystery box. I have no idea what's on it. It could be, 25 minutes of Jerry watching cartoons on Sunday morning, which could probably be pretty
That'd be
cool.
awesome.
But I don't know what it's going to be. And if it turns out to be a bunch of junk, I'm not going to take your money and say, well, great, you just preserved this, useless material. So there's some reason that's employed and some courtesy and understanding, and it's all supporting a good cause,
and that explains it
that
very
level,
well.
It's always a discussion.
Well, and like to me too, like what you guys are doing, who cares? I just want to be like a part of the whole. Even if it was not something that was like, that was the one that was outside, that was the Doc Watson, or that was you were still part of what you guys are doing. I am giving to something that I believe in no matter what it is. And thank you guys so much for fucking doing what you're doing, man. This is amazing. Now I know what we have to do. We need to buy some CDs and things. We got to listen to these ones that you guys are getting out.
I got Christmas
don't
presents
forget
now.
to read the liner notes.
Absolutely. We're older too. It's one of those things, man. I love the resurgence of LPs in the world we live in now, where so many bands are putting out LPs where you get the artwork, you get the liner notes, you get all the cool shit we grew up on. So
Paul Stubblebine told us that the Allman Brothers vinyl was one of the most challenging masterings he's ever undertaken. The dynamics on that thing just kept bouncing the cutting stylus right off the platter.
Oh,
wow! It like Apple said, man. It feels good to know that we're able to help, and that to be a part of that whole, that it's a extremely important part of our history of the, not just the country, but this weird little tribe that we're part of. And it's cool to be able to give back to that, man. So for all you guys out there listening, go to their website, and if you got the means, I know shit's weird right now and we're all quarantined and whatever, I'm not gonna get into it, but if you got the means, man, help them out, because this is the legacy of the family being preserved and making sure that it doesn't just disappear into the ether and nobody ever gets anything from it. So you guys, thanks. Seriously, from the heart.
This is one of those conversations where it's like the waterworks are built up behind the eyes the whole time. It's something when they like, and this is special. I'm glad you guys kind of insisted on doing the video. We talk more and more. It's so much more personable when we get to see the person instead of just getting the audio.
A weird voice.
Yeah. We wouldn't have got to see your cool hat that your daughter had to go find for you and shit. We wouldn't have seen each other as quarantine.
Sawdust in my hair from splitting wood. So.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate your time, man. And I'll tell you what, I'm just going to throw it out there. Anytime that you guys have something that you want to get out, come here and let me know. And I'll scream it to the heavens, and we'll talk again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to have our, the Sonic Journals getting some airplay. We're trying to give people a diversity of sounds to experience, and there's a lot of different stuff to enjoy in there. So we'll keep making them, and hopefully you guys will keep playing them.
Well, and I hope next year that we get that the world allows for us to see each other at a festival and give a hug and listen to some stuff at the booth and everything.
That would be awesome.
Yep. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. This has been great. It's always fun to talk with like-minded people who sort of get what we're trying to do in this tiny corner of the universe, the musical universe.
It's a big deal, man. And I think that people that at least the people that listen to this show are gonna dig it and respond. So stay in touch, man. And if, like I said, if you got anything you need to talk about, come back on.
And when does this air?
You know, I was thinking about that at the beginning. You were talking about the release coming out on the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Before
We're shipping now. I mean, there's no reason to hold on to it.
I
till
feel
the
the need to
18th. In
push
fact,
this
we
one out.
actually prefer to get people wanting to get it before it's on Amazon, because Amazon, undercuts the pricing on everything.
I can release this next week.
Yeah, we need to push this one up.
I'll get it out.
Will it be spliced with music at all, or just straight?
If you
want to provide
some music, that would be.
You don't have the CD and the.
I don't have the. I mean, is it on Apple Music? Are the CDs on?
Yeah, the CDs are on Apple Music.
Okay, I'll post.
All of them should be, at least in some form or fashion, should be on Apple.com.
Well, and if there's anything, I'm kind of stepping in Aaron's, but if there's anything that you guys want us to play, any certain tracks or anything, let Aaron know, and we'll get it in there. We would love to.
Yeah, no, I'm always thrilled to see who picks what.
What we do? Okay,
right,
cool. I like that.
I like that too.
Create your own art.
Yeah, I'll what I'll do. So the way our show works, like we do some commercials at the beginning, and then we do an intro, and out of the intro into the interview, I usually play a song, and then at the end of the interview, I usually play another song. So I'll bookend our conversation with a couple of tracks.
Cool. That sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, I know on the songs are what.
We tend to be pretty long-winded, so I hope we haven't left you with so much editing.
Bro, I'm going to leave it. It's all going to be in there. Apple taking a piss, the door banging, all of it. I don't cut anything out.
He used to edit more, but now the listeners even said it's like they like the full experience. Like you said, the dog farting, different things happen. And we used to be like, we need to take that. And it's like, no, that is the experience. That's the whole thing. Kind of like you guys are doing. Why would you pick and choose? It's all important.
Yep. Right on, you guys.
All right.
I just want to say thank you. I smiled the entire time. The entire time. And I mean, this is one of the best I've felt in like a month. Like this was listening.
This was medicine talking to you guys today, man.
And Apple said with the tears behind his eyes, I felt the same way. There's something special about what Bear did and what you guys are doing, and I can't wait to dose my ears with this.
Same here. That's I want to go like weep a little, eat a donut that Cody brought over, and have a great rest of my day.
Yeah, and then go buy all the vinyls I can find.
There you go.
I'm not sure Bear would approve of the donut.
Yeah. Not cool, man. Right on, you guys. Have a really, really awesome rest of your day, and stay safe out there, man.
Yep, you too.
You as well, guys. This was fun.
Much love, you guys.
Until next time.
Talk
Yeah.
to you soon. Whoa. Just whoa. I don't even want to fuck this up with saying a bunch of dumb shit afterwards. I'm just gonna
support them.
Yeah,
is all I gotta say. I haven't felt the need to support something as hard as I do at this in a long time. Like, I want to hear all of them.
Mm-hmm. I want to hear Jerry.
So do they
watching cartoons,
and that's the things that's all. So do they. That's a fresh present every time.
It's like
consider the sources.
You don't know what you're gonna get, and especially him. That's your dad, and it's like I get to again open a present that my dad created, and I don't know what the fuck it is, but I know it's gonna be awesome. Even if it's Jerry watching cartoons or something.
I kept thinking of it as like opening a tomb in Egypt that's never been opened for thousands of years. It's like we don't know what's going to be.
Yeah, it could be
Jerry watching
or a stuffed cat.
Or a stuffed cat.
All right, you guys, you know what you need to do out there. Go to the Owsley Stanley Foundation. Go search them on your computer machine thing, and use the Google to find them out.
Dose your ears.
And dose your ears. And support the family, man, and the legacy of incredible sonic weirdness and wonderfulness that has been preserved by Bear and his family. And thanks, you guys. It was a huge honor for us, and we appreciate you. And you guys out there, we'll be back next week with more stuff and things. Take care of each other. Smile at a stranger. Safety third. Hydrate.
Hydrate.
Take care of yourselves.
But it's a burden. Family needs has been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a newborn. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? One simple road. Shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A equal A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Hey listeners, I want to tell you about the April-May 2023 issue of Relics magazine. Features a Dave Matthews Band cover story with additional articles and interviews with The National, Graham Nash, Wayne Shorter, ALO, Ivan Neville, our friend Eric Krasno and Stanton Moore, Marty Stewart, and much more. Check out the latest version of Relics and subscribe now at relics.com/DMB. Thanks, Relics.
Well, hey friends, my name is Zach Lupitin. You may know me from the band Dust Bowl Revival, but I also host a music discovery podcast called The Show on the Road. For the last 5 seasons, I've been able to dive deep and have intimate chats with folks like the Lumineers, Ani DeFranco, Wolfpack, Keb Mo, Lake Street Dive, Bela Fleck, and more. So guess what? After 150 conversations with some of my favorite songwriters from around the world, we are bringing brand new episodes to the Osiris Network. New interviews and intimate acoustic performances will be coming at you this summer. And which episodes are coming next, you ask?
I am Zach Goody, the lead singer for the band Smash Mouth.
Our band is called Milky Chance. We are based in Berlin.
My name is David Shaw. I sing and write songs with my band, The Revivalists.
Trust me, these conversations go some wild places. So subscribe to The Show on the Road on Osiris, and we'll see you soon.